really exciting time for you. Whether you're just starting your college search or you already know what you want to study and you're just interested in learning more about what the School of Architecture offers here at Georgia Tech, we're really happy that you're here with us today. After you've watched the video, if you have any questions at all, please reach out to me directly. I want to hear from you. And I do look forward to seeing you here on campus.
Hello, I'm Lizzie Tarak. I'm from Beaufort, Georgia, and I am the class of 2023. I think I decided to study architecture at Georgia Tech because it felt like the major that was right for me. It wasn't just art, it was math and physics and thinking and planning and problem solving and just a lot of dedication and just hands-on experiment. I think the most surprising thing about architecture at Georgia Tech was the culture and how many friends I would make in studio. Like literally I know probably everyone in my grade. We're always there in studio, we'll like laugh and make jokes. We both know like when we're struggling with some material to help each other. And I really love that.
Hey incoming Yellow Jackets, my name is Jose Miranda and I'm a second year undergraduate student from the class of 2023. I chose to study architecture at Georgia Tech because their architecture program combines both conceptual and practical architecture into a balanced medium. What surprised me the most about studying architecture at Georgia Tech was the amount of useful skills and programs that were introduced to us throughout just the first year. I've even used those skills and programs outside of architecture.
Hi, my name is Thomas Bray. I am from Delaware, Georgia. I'm part of the class of 2022. The thing that surprised me most about Georgia Tech was the digital fabrication lab we have on campus. It's this huge shop that has the ability to fabricate really small models to these big installations that you'll see around campus.
Hi everybody, my name is Carolina Fernandez and I am from San Jose, Costa Rica. I am part of the class of 2022. I decided to study architecture at Georgia Tech because it has the perfect balance between design and technology. What surprised me the most about studying architecture at Georgia Tech was the amount of relationships and friendships you have throughout all of your career, all the 4 years, and how close you get to each other. Bye! I hope you join us.
Hi, I'm Sam Amick. I'm from Decatur, Georgia, and I'm a member of the Georgia Tech class of 2023. I decided to attend Georgia Tech because it's very important to me to study architecture in the context of the city of Atlanta. Not only does Atlanta offer great examples of different architectural styles, but it also is a great opportunity to interface with a diversity of different types of thought. One thing that really surprised me about Georgia Tech is the studio culture within the School of Architecture. It's really nice to have a cohort of students that support you in your endeavors in studio, but it's also really nice to have the lasting friendships that come out of studio.
Thank you all for being here today. My name is Sakshi Kakkad and I'm a second year architecture student from Johns Creek, Georgia, so class of 2023. Do you guys have any questions as prospective architecture students? Yes, go ahead. Yeah, so I decided to study architecture here at Georgia Tech because the program is ranked very highly, and after talking with the student ambassador, I knew it was the right choice for me. I also think that there's a unique benefit to studying architecture at an engineering school. There were a lot of surprises, but I think what surprised me the most was how much I learned and how far I'd come. It wasn't without a lot of hard work, but looking back, I'm amazed at what I was able to create. Thank you guys for coming, and I'm excited to see you guys at Tech one day.
Those were some great stories that we just heard from our current students talking about why they chose to study architecture at Georgia Tech, and then also things that surprised them once they arrived here. I want to spend a little bit of time now and give you kind of an overview about the school, talk a little bit about the curriculum, about the people, about opportunities in international education, about career outreach, and then events. and then also talk a little bit about the admissions process along with the optional portfolio. Our curriculum is based on design studios. That's the backbone of our undergraduate program. And you'll see that starting in the fall semester of your first year, you start right in a design studio. And each studio has an overall theme that lays a foundation to help you build your skills and your capacity as a creative thinker and maker, and then it helps you then as a platform for the following semester in a design studio. Each studio then along in the sequence continues to build upon work from previous years. And so you're constantly going through and reiterating on what you've done prior as you're kind of tackling more complex and broader kinds of questions in your studios. You'll see I also have included here the required coursework in architecture, and there are 4 core classes that are specifically aligned with the design studios. And then we also have other required courses in building technology. You see it there in Construction Technology 1, in Structures 1, and Environmental Systems, and then the History of Architecture Sequence 1 and 2. And then the rest of your curriculum then is made up of the core requirements from Georgia Tech, and those are the courses in math and English, in physics and computer science, humanities, and social sciences. The design studios are our unique setting in that it really is about kind of building a community and a culture of making, working together with your studio peers, and then also alongside your faculty. And this is something that overlaps not only from the design studio, but also into classes like our media modeling class, where you start to learn about proportion, looking at precedents, engaging in close conversation with faculty as you're tackling a kind of a design problem, and then building your capacity to use the various tools and methods as you're going through a design. As you go through your design studios, then you're able to take aspects of other knowledge that you gain in courses in media and modeling, in your building technology classes, and bring them into your studios. And so it helps to kind of inform your way of thinking as a designer. And design really is about synthesis, and the synthesis of bringing together multiple constraints, multiple parameters, and then solve a problem or to find a solution. By the time you arrive at our senior studio, we have the capstone studio in the spring semester. And in that one, it combines students from our undergraduate program with students across campus. And you work in an interdisciplinary team environment that culminates in participating in the design capstone, which is one of the largest events on campus. It's over 180 teams. There's a campus-wide competition. You can see here that the kinds of collaborations include working with the Shaped Computation Lab. We've had teams that worked with mechanical engineering students, with industrial design students, and then literature, media, and communication. So while we definitely use technology and all the digital tools as part of our arsenal, we also make things with our hands. And so courses like the construction technology course will incorporate making formwork, building things, and then testing and displaying them in the courtyard so students can see what others have done based on a kind of series of parameters. We have a digital fabrication lab. Faculty are engaged in research and use the lab as a way of kind of testing. In this case, it's precast concrete, and students were involved in this research effort, which then traveled to Paris, France, and then was part of an exposition there. We have coursework too that brings in design build as well, opportunities for our students. And you can see here a drawing that shows one of our courtyards in campus. Is called the Hinman Courtyard, which is adjacent to one of our buildings here at Georgia Tech that houses the School of Architecture. And the students were involved in both developing the renderings to kind of imagine what it would look like, the full-scale mock-ups, testing the kind of lighting panel, and then ultimately with its installation. We have a lot of fun also in the School of Architecture. We have a portfolio competition that highlights the end of every fall semester, where every student from first year all the way through to our upper level graduate students will prepare a design portfolio, which then is laid out on tables in the main space in Hinman. And it's a competition, and students really enjoy seeing each other's work. And then we also have, at the end of the spring, an end of year exhibition of all the student work. In fact, we have a digital version of the end of year exhibition that's on our School of Architecture website. So I encourage you to go take a look, and you can see what a range of the different studios did over the course of the spring semester. So what would a school be without its people? We are very much a close community of students, of faculty and staff and alumni. There are many opportunities for students to get involved in initiatives in the school. We have a whole group of undergraduate student ambassadors, some of whom you heard from at the beginning of this presentation. And they really are these kind of direct conduits that connect you to a life at Georgia Tech, and what is it like to be a student here. We also really value our students' voice in understanding directly things that concern them. So each year there are students who are elected by their peers to serve on a student advisory council, and we have one for the undergraduate program and then a second one for the graduate program. But this is a group of students that meets monthly with the school leadership, and we talk about different things, from questions about the curriculum to program initiatives. In fact, many of the things that are happening in the school are as a direct result of hearing from the students, and we want the students to be involved. We have great student organizations. There's the 3 organizations in the School of Architecture include the American Institute of Architecture Students, there's Equity in Architecture, and then the National Organization of Minority Architecture Students. They do many events both as their own individual organization, and then they also collaborate on different events over the course of the semester. And it's not unusual for students to be involved in 2 or all 3 of these student organizations. And here you see our faculty. Our faculty represent a diverse set of interests. There's a broad body of research, and just a lot of energy and enthusiasm and excitement of working with students and with each other. I want to talk a little bit about the place, Georgia Tech as a campus, and then also our location in Atlanta. With our location in Midtown, there are so many places that you're able to go visit, from cultural institutions like the High Museum and the Woodruff Art Center. There's MODA. So you really are very much in the middle of a vibrant city. But then whenever you're on campus, while it is an urban campus, it's a really beautiful blend of historic buildings, of modern buildings, great places where students can kind of hang out. Here you can see the Candida building, which is the first example of a living building challenge facility in the Southeast, just opened last year. It has classrooms, auditorium space, maker space, and it's a great asset for our campus. This is one of our architecture buildings. Architecture is actually spread out over 4 buildings across campus. This building is Architecture West. We share this with the other schools in the College of Design, Industrial Design, and City and Regional Planning. Architecture is primarily housed on the 3rd floor, and you can see we've got pin-up space, there are offices, and there's studio space. This is a space that's called the Crow's Nest, which is where many of our design reviews, both formal and informal, would take place. And then this is a view looking at the Hinman Research Building, which also houses studios and labs and offices. And we have undergraduate studios and graduate studios in this building. And so you can see here the kind of nature of the kind of collaborative workspace. This is not an uncommon view where you would have clusters of students around tables, talking with each other, talking with their faculty, and just kind of a creative thinking space. We also bring our creativity and making to the labs. And so here's a view of the digital fabrication lab where our structures class is testing the strength of their bridges and actually wanting them to fail and wanting to test their failures. So bringing the kind of hands-on aspect to the various parts of the curriculum, making things with robots, that kind of large scale fabrication. And there are many opportunities where students can get involved in building things in this facility. I spent some time talking about our great facilities and being located in the city of Atlanta, but we also want you to go away. We have a great international education program where we have a series of opportunities where students can travel abroad and take advantage of being immersed in another culture. One of those is the Undergraduate International Studio. This happens in the spring of your junior year. And this is a group of students that travel with a faculty member and take a design studio and other required coursework that maps onto your curriculum here at Georgia Tech here in Atlanta. So it doesn't delay your time to graduation at all. You're able to engage with students from other institutions as well. And so it's a great program that that many of our students have taken advantage of. We also have exchange programs, and the exchange programs can either be for a semester or for a full year. And we have programs that have been pre-vetted, meaning that we've looked at their curriculum and ensured that design studios and other architecture coursework will directly map onto requirements here. So again, not delaying your time to graduation at all, but then it allows you an opportunity to go and study in places like Australia or in Singapore, in France, and learn from being with other students in other countries. We also have a summer program. This is not a studio-based program. This program includes students not only from architecture, but also from other schools across Georgia Tech. And this is looking at the history of art and architecture in Greece and Italy. This is led by faculty in the School of Architecture, and really it's uses these sites as extensions of the classroom. And then this is probably our youngest program. It's the Design, Develop, Build program. It was started in 2012. And this is a program that's led by one of our faculty in the School of Architecture, where our students work alongside students from Germany to design and to build public structures for underserved communities. And this is an effort that spans across multiple semesters, includes the summer, and it's just a terrific opportunity for students to get involved in kind of a level of community outreach and engagement. We have a couple of ways that we try to help our students with careers and then with other kinds of outreach across campus. So first I want to talk about the career fair. But before I get into the details about that, I want to speak about our alumni. We have incredible alumni who are successful in internationally recognized firms across the country. Many of these firms are the largest firms with their offices here in Atlanta. And these are the alumni who come back and represent their firms at our career fair. And they're always looking for ways to continue to build their professional teams with students from Georgia Tech. We have another program, the Practicum initiative, where this is one which brings students out to firms across the country. And so while the career fair is focused on Metro Atlanta firms, this program here, the Practicum program, which happens in the spring, allows our students the opportunity to see what's happening in cities like New York City, in Boston, in Detroit, in Seattle, in San Francisco, in Los Angeles. And it's essentially a shadow day that lasts for a week. Students are able to get a sense of what a day in the life is like in these firms. They sit in on client meetings. They are able to go out to job sites. and they are able to also get a sense of what life is like in another city. So this is a great opportunity for our students, and many of our students take advantage of participating in this, both undergraduate and graduate students. We look for ways to build our presence across campus, and those include things like exhibitions that are in some of the public buildings here, so that when you're walking through on your way to get a Starbucks, you can stop by and you can see what's happening in a sophomore design studio or what's happening in one of the graduate studios. Here you see an image of the Capstone Design Expo. I spoke about that a little bit earlier in the presentation, but this is also just a great way for our students to be able to share the kind of research work that they're doing in their design studios and the kinds of problems that they're trying to solve, whether it has to do with climate change or with thinking about what the future of retail might be, or issues related to sustainability and resilience. The last thing I want to talk about very briefly is admissions. I encourage you to go to gatech.edu/admissions. It's a great site that will give you some different tips and advice. Also, depending on what kind of applicant you would be, whether it's a first year or a transfer or an international student, different information and guidance there on the site. I mentioned the optional portfolio. For the portfolio, which is optional as part of the application process, I want to really stress to all of you that what we're looking for in this portfolio is just to see any kind of creative work you've done. So if there are sketches that you've done, or you've done some photography, if there's work in ceramics or in pottery or in two-dimensional or three-dimensional design, we want to see it. It helps us understand how you think and your capacity as a kind of a creative in the creative discipline. We are not looking for architectural work. We don't expect to see a lot of architectural work. This is why you're applying to study architecture as an undergraduate. If you have participated in a pre-college camp, like the one that we offer here at Georgia Tech, many of the schools, universities offer these kinds of camps. By all means, definitely include that work in your portfolio as well. It just helps us give us a sense of who you are, and demonstrates things that interest you. So the last thing I want to say is, please join us on social media. It's a great way where you can get a sense of what life is like here in the School of Architecture. You'll get to see student projects. You'll get to see the kinds of events and the activities that we're involved with here on campus. I hope I've answered all of your questions, and I hope that I will see you here on campus soon.